I am Sylviane, Johann's wife, and due to his English language difficulty, I will present his key work this morning. Thank you for allowing this change of last minute. So he is very pleased to be here with you this morning and share an experience and project that plays a central role in his current work. Let him start with a simple question. What if I told you that the most important innovation in our school happened in the cafeteria? To explain, I will tell you a story about Jérôme, a colleague who teaches chemistry. We were sitting in the cafeteria of Voltaire High School in Geneva, Switzerland, discussing everyday topics, when the conversation gradually shifted to his chemistry teaching. He said to me, "For many of my students, the hardest part is bridging the gap between abstract formulas and the concrete realities of the lab. They know the equations, but they are standing in front of the test tubes. They often struggle to understand what is truly happening." Jérôme knows that interactive simulators already exist. They allow students to test their hypotheses, practice through virtual experiment, and visualize what is normally invisible, atom, molecules, reactions. And that shift in perspective helps them to understand the underlying principles. So I asked him, if these simulators are so effective, why are they not present in every chapter of our chemistry course? And his answer was quite simple. Creating a simulator takes time, it requires a developer's skill set, it costs money, and most of the time it doesn't align with his course, neither to the content nor to his teaching approach. He explained that open libraries, such as PhET, they do exist. But across his entire chemistry curriculum, he found only 29 simulators. Excellent quality, yes, but none of them matched exactly what he needed in the classroom. It's better than nothing, of course, but far from enough to support his full curriculum. At that point, I suggested we tried something different, using AI, Cloud AI, to build his own simulator. We called this technique vibe coding, developing an application by taking with the AI instead of programming line by line. I asked him to describe how he normally teaches this chapter, the learning goals, what he wants students to observe, to manipulate, to learn. We loaded the PDF of his course into the AI, we refined the prompts carefully, and within about 10 minutes, a first simulator emerged. Not perfect yet, but already very good. We kept iterating with the AI. After half an hour, we had functional simulator. And after 45 minutes, Jérôme had the tool he had imagined for his precipitation reaction chapter. In that instant, something became clear to us. If it takes only 45 minutes, we can design a simulator for every chapter in the course. We refined the simulator. We created few versions, and then the colleagues started coming. We organized the first workshop for chemistry teachers. Then a math teacher joined the group. She had the same goals. Everything is so abstract, and making it visible is difficult. So we repeated the workshop, this time with a math teacher and a biology teacher. We developed application where students can make abstract notion concrete, play with the parameters, and explore the structures behind the formulas. A month later, we offered a special course for teachers. 15 of them started working with these techniques. In Geneva, 13 institutions teach chemistry. You can imagine the potential if each chemistry teacher could have their own tailored simulators. And today we have mathematicians, biologists, and language teachers interested in this approach. And perhaps tomorrow, some of you as well. The mechanism is so simple and requires no complex tools or equipment, only prompts. You can start tomorrow to implement yourself in your institution. Then a larger pattern begins to emerge. It starts with simple, informal talks. Then comes the collaboration. Jérôme brings his expertise in chemistry. I bring my knowledge of AI and software. Together, we build an application. Next, we integrate this application into lessons, and we use it with the students. And finally, we extend the same approach to other contexts with other colleagues. Now, you can see where our key AI innovation comes from our cafeteria. One ecosystem, many islands. If we zoom out, we see a broader educational ecosystem with many actors: teachers, learners, trainers, researchers, administrative staff, decision makers, and many other stakeholders. Each actor works in their own context with their own tools and priorities. The result is that the same education system operates in silos. Each person or group is doing important work, but often in isolation. And then, new actor arrives in this ecosystem, generative AI. It brings powerful tools, new possibilities, but also risks and new questions. How do we respond to that? We defined 3 rules: act locally, share ethically, think globally. Act locally means for us we experiment in lesson preparation, in class activities, in project with students. Then we run workshop with colleagues and we create school-level events and talks. Share ethically means for us we work on transparency, explaining that what the AI can do, and what it must not be used for, but also talking about its limits and hallucinations. We provide training on data protection, risks, legal framework, and we define clear usage of rules and responsibilities. Think globally means for us we monitor what is happening in AI, we analyze the broader impact on education, we align international standards, and we contribute to the collective intelligence around AI in education, including here with you. With one constant in mind, the learner remains in the center. To bring all these concepts together, we gave a name, the AI Lunch Café. AI Lunch Café are informal meetings about AI and education. Who takes part? Teachers, trainers, researchers, members of administrative teams, but also profiles such as the school nurse, the social worker, and so on. In other words, anyone who is curious, who wants to understand what is happening, and who wants to progress. The organization is very simple. 1 hour, 1 topic, 1 coffee. People bring the coffee, we bring the coffee, people bring their sandwiches. It is friendly, informal, and there is no judgment. We can come with our fears, our doubts, and very basic questions. The goal is to progress together. Since 2024, we have talked about pedagogy and learning with AI, technologies and tools, ethics and governance. We also practice generated videos, images, code, learn how to prompt, co-create lessons and activities with AIs, and we worked on quality of AI's output. In a relatively short time, we have run a few dozen lunch cafes in many institutions in Geneva with very concrete results: practical guides, reports, technical resources, presentations, and small applications. The feedback is very consistent. What works in practice, free of dogma? Our message is simple: learn, try, understand, decide. Small groups help colleagues share real problems. Upon closer inspection, a new phenomenon appears. We have reduced isolation inside each institution, and we realize that the lunch cafes themselves are isolated one from another. To connect these islands, we have built a second layer: conferences, webinars, and workshops. Today, we already connect secondary schools and vocational centers in Geneva, and we are starting to work with universities and higher education institutions. And in the longer terms, this can clearly extend beyond Switzerland and potentially connect with initiatives like yours here in Dubai. We have organized conferences, and every session generates short multimedia capsules. In the workshop, we have developed concrete application as Prompt Studio to learn prompting, and made many other applications created through vibe coding, as we saw before. Webinars have brought together several hundred participants and a dozen speakers. Step by step, we see a network emerging: local practices, exchanges between institutions, and a shared culture of AI in education. At this point, we have local initiatives, the local lunch cafes, connection between these initiatives, conferences, webinars, and workshops. What we still need is a third layer, an infrastructure of trust that connects people, tools, data, and knowledge in a coherent way. This is the goal of the hub we are designing. The hub has 4 main functions: connect people, tools, data, resources, coordinate actions and decisions, support collaboration between teams on concrete projects, enable creation of new resources and solutions. One key question remains: how do we coordinate all these layers in a sustainable way? We already have local initiative, a hub architecture, growing tools and libraries. To make the system robust and sustainable, we now need a governance layer, a neutral orchestrator, shared rules between institutions, clear roles, compliance with existing frameworks, and a coordinated strategy for resources and funding. When we say that ethics must be built in, not added later, we mean that ethical thinking must be part of the design process from the very beginning. We anchor this layer within the Swiss Informatics Society, a professional society that brings together IT experts, professors, and interest groups that is already active on topics such as EID, data protection, cybersecurity, and of course, AI in education. Within SI, we have created a group, AI for Ed, Artificial Intelligence for Education. From the very beginning, our charter embedded the key foundation: protection of data, clear rights and responsibilities, compliance for education, and ethics as a central guiding principle. We also align with international standards and with institutional regulations. On the funding side, different paths are possible: institutional funding, international programs, public-private partnership, conferences and workshops, innovation funds, donations. What I have just described is not a dream. This is an architecture that is already beginning to emerge in practice and is now starting with the creation of the AI for Ed group. It just starts with a talk. It just started with a talk in the cafeteria and the chemistry simulator. It is formalized by the AI lunch cafes. Groups are connected through conferences, webinars, and workshops. It is supported by the hub, the Athena AI Hub, as a trust infrastructure. Finally, it is coordinated by AI for Ed within the Swiss Informatics Society. 4 layers, 1 philosophy: act locally, share ethically, think globally, always with the learner at the center. Our next chapter. In this journey, Switzerland is not a destination. It is just a starting point. If you are a teacher, start even with small project, even with a single idea. If you represent an institution, recognize and support micro-initiatives. If you are a decision maker, create the condition of trust that allow these projects to grow. If you are a researcher, co-design project with practitioners in the field. If you are a student, stay curious, explore, test, question. And if you are another kind of stakeholder, come and join this ecosystem. Everything I have presented here can be done where you are and by yourself. The idea of AI for Ed is to identify what already exists, to make it visible, to connect it with other contexts and cultures, and to integrate AI into education. What we will offer is an open space where peers meet, co-create projects, share knowledge, connect to a broad network, access an evolving hub, and gain visibility as founding partners. In return, we ask for a willingness to collaborate, to participate, to align with the AI for Ed Charter, and to trust that together we can build what none of us could build alone. Who can join? Everybody, and you as well. Thank you for your attention.